people with pitchforks and torches. You have to go out into the community, you have to meet on the weekend, you have to meet at night, you have to be open to the community showing up without having to run a gauntlet of police officers and being surrounded with police officers that say anything they want to. Come out to the community and meet with the community in the community, and then you can start doing your job. Face the reality of this is a city that is being oppressed and suppressed, and people are being murdered by the police department, and the community is angry about that. Face that anger and deal with it. You're not going to do it here. You think you only have a few people here and you can dismiss them? That's on you, because you're meeting at 9:30 in the morning on a weekday inside the LAPD headquarters. If you want to have masses of people come out to talk to you and tell you what they really think, then you have to go to them. You have to get out of this building and have your meetings on the weekend or at night in community organizations and churches.
Tiffany Guerra, followed by Joyce T. Chen.
So my comment is to this board and this group regarding the consistent misuse of power of this board when it comes to shutting out the public. One of the purposes of this commission meeting is to provide a forum where the public can come and voice our opinion on the agenda items being considered, and that is a very critical part of the process. When you deny people the right to do that, you're violating the rules of democracy and engaging in deception. You all do this consistently, most recently in the meeting on the 11th when Matt Johnson threatened the entire room with shutting down the meeting when a few people were talking back. He would threaten to adjourn the meeting and say, "It's your decision." He would say that to the room, which is a lie because it's not. It was very clearly his decision to do that, and so that is an abuse of power as well. When you have disruptions in your meetings, you are obligated to ask that individual or individuals to leave, but you all did not do that. You did that for one person, and then when there were further disruptions with another individual, you did not ask that person to leave, but not just shut down the whole meeting. This is a public forum. When you skip steps in shutting down that process and then keep the public out when you come back in session, knowingly, with only the media present, as the public outside is told that they can't come in, that is not just lazy, but it is willful deception. You kept the public out when you passed agenda items that you knew were important to the public on that day, and you knew that because you had numerous comment cards on all of those items.
Right.
Right.
So you knew how important it was for members of the public to speak on those items, and you shut us out specifically anyway. So maybe you all need different jobs than being on this panel, because what we need here are people that are willing and able to run a public meeting and who respect that process. And who have respect the fact that we have taken hours out of our day to come here. Some people have to travel all day to be here and then stand here and speak to you all for 2 minutes. You need to respect that process or find a different job.
I go by Missouri regularly.
We have 9 other cards, sir. How many? 9 more.
Well, watch yourself tonight.
First of all, my name, you mispronounced it, is Jyoti Chen. Second, what's that? Jyoti Chen, it's an Indian name. Second, each of you have blood on your hands. You have the blood of little children. You have the blood of women of color, of mothers, daughters, sons, husbands, fathers, and elders. You should be punished. You should be charged with state-sanctioned violence, terror and terrorism, and attempted genocide. That is what we're talking about. Also, I want to put on notice that actually you all violated California Code 54957.9 on October 11th. Rather than taking out one individual, you took out everybody. That's the first violation of that. Second, you made no attempt to include the public that was not disrupting the meeting. So you're in violation of this. Third, you're painting a picture of us, right? You're painting a picture of us that we're disruptive, we're interrupting, that we're loud, and actually, the words that you should be using is really how you feel, which is that you think we're uncivilized, right? Savages, thugs, black and brown people, you should say what you mean. And the way that you're categorizing disruption is actually a normal response to trauma. I work with trauma victims. I work in a shelter program with domestic violence, sexual assault survivors. What we're experiencing is a normal, healthy response to trauma. Rage, anger, speaking up, using our voice, taking up space. That is the normal response to trauma.
The next 5, Trevor Gerard, Karen Hiltzman, Jamie Garcia, Ruth Sarnoff, and Alina Abdullah.
Who's next?
I'm still talking.
I see my time.
I'm still talking.
Can't do that. So you
There
have...
is a report, actually. There is a report.
I'm going to ask you to sit down now.
And this report, it came out in September of this year. And it commented on what you are doing, that contemporary police killings and the trauma that they bring are reminiscent of the past racial terror of
Okay, you can
lynching.
sit down now.
Next
time, I ask you to leave
the next time. Don't let 'em kick you out.
Enslavement, racial subordination and segregation, racial terrorism, and racial inequality in the United States.
No, you're
Challenge that there's no real commitment.
not doing your
to
story.
Oh, are you waving your
the
seat?
reconciliation. Impunity for state violence
So what I'm
has
going to do is I'm going to
resulted in the
recess this
current
meeting.
human rights
And we'll do the same, no, not me.
Yes, it's you, Soberall, Mr. Crook.
You asked her to stop. Okay, he's done. Next.
She left,
Who's next?
okay, so what,
Karen
Soberall?
Hiltzman,
Who's up?
Karen Hiltzman,
Yeah, I asked you to leave the meeting.
She got away. She's not interrupting you.
Why is he recording her?
Go ahead. Thank you.
Karen
Next speaker.
Hiltzman, followed by Jamie Garcia.
Well, I got the camera on you too. It's all going up tonight. Having to make sure it's on y'all.
I don't have to follow her out.
See, there, you know, here they all are. All of y'all. You too, dude. No, you're a good guy.
Okay.
All of you fools.
Karen Hiltzman.
You got it. I got them.
For Black Lives. I want to talk a little bit also about...
You guys just sleep at the wheel.
And according to
Usual.
the police rank and file, and this was reported in the LA Times, the public here are protesters in search of a problem. And if the rank and file isn't aware that there is a problem, that is a problem. Organizational change starts at the top. And shame on Chief Beck, and shame on you all for not communicating and making sure that the force understands the critical issues facing them. But it's not surprising, really, because you don't recognize the problem either. There are many ways to describe it, but I'll just say for right now, disproportionate use of force, lethal force, intimidation, harassment in the black and brown communities of Los Angeles. And this commission continues to ignore what's being said and what's right in front of you. Also, in regard to the public this year, it's not theater either, and I know a couple of other people have spoken about this, but in the letter to the mayor and the city council that Paula Miner mentioned, there also was results of a poll. And in South Los Angeles, residents, and this poll was conducted by the well-respected Community Coalition, shows that 69% of the respondents say their confidence in the LAPD has decreased over the last 3 years. That 75% believe officers should avoid using deadly force, even if the suspect is armed. So, this isn't theater, it's the tip of the iceberg.
Thank you.
And you can't continue to keep the public at arm's length.
The next speaker, Jamie Garcia,
Followed by Ruth Sarnoff and Alina Abdullah.
James Garcia is not here. Ruth Sarnoff.
All right, Ruth. Oh, good. Better listen to her.
My name is Ruth Sarnoff. I was real disturbed when I listened to the earlier testimony, and I had a card in on number 2, but it was obviously, unless you get it in before anybody speaks on that subject,
Right.
which is like, could be 30 minutes earlier, you can't speak. I can't see any reason for that in the County Board of Supervisors. If your card is in there while we're still on the topic, they call you. It's a matter of choice. If you really want to hear more from us, you'll be lenient. If you want to hear less from us, you will be less lenient. I want to tell you, I have personally seen the damage of tasers and of those pellet guns, the sheet bags, and I don't know, bullets, whatever they are, both at the arrest scene in the Occupy Los Angeles when 1,400 police officers converged on the site after having pushed people and harassed people, so there was actually, outside of the people to be arrested, there were very few people on the site anymore. We had helicopters droning over the top of the village there around LA City Hall for days before. And I saw them use the pellet gun on the guy up in the tree. We watched there, and there was no reason to bring him down at all, except to make everybody that had been sitting there in the cold waiting to be arrested. And I was one of those people. I spent 3 days in the county jail, and it was not fun, I can assure you. And I would also like to speak at another time with someone here, if I may, about watching a person be tasered in South Los Angeles.
And it was horrible. It was horrible.
Speaker Linda Abdullah, Pastor Q Desmarie, Pastor Q, followed by Michael Williams, Hamid Khan, and General Jeff.
That's it?
And that's it.
Okay.
Was that second?
We're not on that item yet.
There you go. Okay. Putting this together. More important.
Pastor Q, the Church Without Walls, Skid Row, Black Jewish Justice Alliance, Creating Justice, LA. Last week at a meeting, DA Jackie Lacey said that if a police officer feels like their lives are in danger, whether they're mistaken or not, they have a right to protect themselves. I'm a big black man. That scares the heck out of me. Because a police officer can come into our occupied neighborhoods and say anything and kill a black man and get away with it, which is what's been happening. We talk about community policing, but when you go to Irvine and you begin to say things about our community to white and Asian people that don't live in our communities, we have a problem with that.
Right.
You're painting us in a particular light. Do that at your dinner table.
Right.
That's great.
And this is the same attitude we've had in Skid Row when Charlie Africa was killed, whether you thought the police was right or wrong. When no one came to Skid Row to talk to us, the rowdy ones, the ones who were screaming, the ones who came in protest, when no one came, when we went to the mayor's office and no one came to talk to us, but you go to the other side of town and talk to some black folks over there.
Right.
That's like a woman getting raped. And then you go to another woman to hear her opinion about that woman's rape.
Michael Williams,
You're up tonight on YouTube.
followed by Hamid
It's
Khan.
on YouTube. You can see it.
Those are the last two.
General Jeff, and
That's it.
Okay. The hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral conflict. Who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. Martin Luther King. So I'm saying that because it seems like the neutrality out here is pretty obvious. And it's not neutral for you guys. That was a comment to Ms. Shane Goldsmith and my brother back here. That's basic, but you guys' neutrality is very not, you guys are not neutral at all. It's obvious that you're on the side of police officers. It's obvious that you're on the side of the oppressor, of evil, cooperating with it. That's obvious. So I was going to shut down the meeting because I really don't care about it, but I have respect for people. Right? I have respect for the mother of Waukesha Wilson. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Bustamante, that because of the fact that you said, right, and if you want to disagree with it, we have a video you saying this, right, that you said that the investigation of Waukesha Wilson includes a use of force by an officer, right? When can we expect a full report on that? When can we expect something on that to come forward? Because as far as we know, nothing has been said. There hasn't been any information given about Waukesha Wilson's death. So when can we expect that?
Full disclosure.
Yeah. Real disclosure.
I'm waiting.
You can talk to him afterwards. You know you can't respond. Go ahead, keep going.
I can't.
You're not limited.
You just responded to me, so that tells me that you can respond. You know what I'm saying?
Very briefly on that subject, as we do in every investigation, we'll look at every use of force and determine if there are any issues at all, including a use of force by the officer, especially when it comes to death. It's not saying that there was one. We're saying that if there's anything that's uncovered by the investigation, including a contact made by the department or an inappropriate use of force, that we would note that and investigate that, just like any other case.
How long?
Next speaker.
We have to
The
wait.
next speaker is Hamid
How
Khan.
long do we get comments? How long this mother has to continue to suffer with no answer? How long, Mr. Bustamante?
Put that video.
We want answers.
Because-
Tell us, how long?
Are you going to speak or no?
Write a card. Get a card right now.
Because you said there was a categorical use of force.
Sir, get a card.
Investigation. So we'll play the video back. for you.
Okay, Mr. Cotton.
Chill.
Abuse of power, an affront to democracy, no transparency, traumatizing and blaming the victim. These are the things that typically Liberty Hill Foundation funds to fight back. These are the things that Sandra Figuera, who's an ED of a nonprofit in Echo Park, claimed to fight back. These are the very things that you're actively participating in. The very things. So I think the question really, and I'm just going to keep on looking on that side, because the question really is that what you do in your professional life or as the president of a foundation, what does it mean to participate in this forum? What does it mean that you're seeing this whole drama over the last 3 meetings that you've attended, Shane Goldsmith? What is your takeaway out of this? Obviously, what you're seeing is completely people being silenced. What you're seeing is, on October 11th, that how summarily we were kicked out of this room. What you're seeing is that when we even sent a letter asking, this letter was sent to Matt Johnson and Richard Tiefbay, asking that those were 2 very key items that the community wanted to speak on, and they should be brought back. But we were quoted this 549, 57.9, and even when we cut through that, we find out that our rights were violated. So the question really goes to you
then how are you going to deal with it when you're not here? What does your conscience teach you? Because what you're in is a system that is, as it was said, is fundamentally flawed by design. What you're in, a system, is how patriarchy works, how white supremacy works. And how
Next speaker, please. General Jeff, please.
General Jeff? You see that how patriarchy.
Thank you, sir. General Jeff Skid Row. With the Los Angeles Police Commission, the Los Angeles Police Department's budget annually, $1.5 billion of American taxpayer money. I want to ask a question, and when we talk about possibly looking at a cost reduction and cost savings, how much money does LAPD waste on gas? You know, when we talk about the black and white patrol cars, the undercover detective cars, and other cars, when they engage with some potential suspects or person of interest, and they'll leave the car running in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hour, or even longer, you know, over the course of a year, that's a lot of gas that's being wasted. In Skid Row and across this city, you know, you see officers just driving around, logging up mileage. They're not doing anything but just driving around, logging up mileage. How much waste of gas is that? You know, we the people request from this commission that the department give a report on gas. How much gas does LAPD waste on an annual basis? How many millions and millions of dollars does LAPD department waste on gas? And we the people request that this commission request for presentation, because we the public, we want to hear a full presentation, PowerPoint presentation, all of that. We want to know how many millions of dollars, and if this commission knows, we would like to know where we could find that information, because we the public think that there's a whole lot of wasteful spending within the department for $1.5 billion, and we know there's a lot. The first place to look is wherever the gas is. Thank you.
There are no other public comment cards. We're now item number 5, closed session items. We have 2 cards on 5A1. We have Michael Novick and Wayne from Encino.
Do you have any cards on TV, please?
We have 1 card on number 2. We have Wayne from Encino. And we
Say
have
her name!
Say
her name!
Waukesha Wilson!
Say her name!
Waukesha Wilson!
Say her name!
Waukesha Wilson!
Say her name!
Waukesha Wilson!
Say her name!
Mr. Novick.
Say her name!
Waukesha Wilson!
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 I'm commenting on the closed session items. You have once again 2 officers shootings, 1 involving an animal, 1 involving a human being. You have so-called unintentional discharge. And these are from December 2015. And so, you know, I really want to challenge you again to think about what you're involved in here and what you're doing as a police commission. You go through these cases week after week. We come here, we see 2 or 3 more officer-involved shootings every week from a year ago or 10 months ago. And so when are we going to get to the serial killer who killed 2 people in East L.A. 10 months from now? You know, I challenged Mr. Soboroff there when he was chairing, and he didn't even ask for those opposed when he took a vote, because he thinks you're such a rubber stamp that he doesn't even respect the other members of the board enough to see if there's any opposition. You have no deliberations. You're supposed to be a deliberative body. When these people come, most of the members of the board and police commissioners remain silent. So I challenge you in this next session, when you don't have to embarrass yourselves in front of any of us, I want you to dig into these officer-involved shootings and find out what really happened. And don't just rubber stamp the next one. I've asked members of this board to vote to hold your meetings in public session out in the community. Nobody has responded. I asked members of this board to tally up how much money you're collecting week after week on these grants and things on top of the $1.5 billion that you spent at the department. Nobody has responded. I think you have no self-respect. And I don't understand what you're doing. I understand what we're doing here. We're trying to challenge you to deal with reality. But you have no idea what you're doing here.
Wow.
Thank you so much for not taking my public comment card. So, let's see here. Officer-involved shooting. You know, you're catching up. This is only December 14th, 2015.
You're great.
These used to take a whole year. Now, you're down about 10 months now. So you're catching up with all of this. Now, this is really good. You name the involved party, Mr. Villavicencio. Villavicencio. That could be Latin or it could be Italian. And only one cop, officer-involved shooting. So the problem you have is you only have a bare quorum here. So when you go back in there, I noticed that the woman that was attacked by that big email blast is not here today. So I think you should defer this item until Cynthia McLean Hill is present. Because I believe that there is a campaign to intimidate her from being in these meetings. One, because she's African American, and two, because she speaks up for the community. And I don't think that's fair, and I don't think this decision is going to be based on objectivity. I think it's going to be based on partisan politics, currency of the LA Police Protective League, that has started this mass campaign accusing this commissioner of conspiracy to break these meetings up by standing with people from Black Lives Matters and other groups. So when she's here, you should have these items, so please don't put this thing on until she's back and she can answer these important allegations, because the city charter requires that the commissioners be independent of the political process and that they decide these things solely as a matter of department policy and not outside political influence.
Wow. We have Wayne Correntino on 582.
So, here we go, December the 20th, uninvolved, so we have a UD, oh, that's an unintentional discharge. Again, this is what happens, you put the gun in your holster, most of these cops put 15 in the clip plus 1 in the chamber, and then they put it in their little sidearm, and then the damn thing just goes off by accident. I've been telling you about these defective guns. You got to have every single sidearm inspected by an independent inspector, because how in the world, without a victim or an occurrence, there's no witness, there's no involved party, this is just a gun that went off, right? This is just a shooting so that this cop have a bad day and just shoot into a wall? Or was this person doing target practice in a park? I mean, how many rounds were fired? These are important questions that are not here for us to look at. So you're going to go in the back. Again, Cynthia McLean Hill is not here. She's currently under threat by the most powerful union in this West Coast, which is the LA Police Protective League. She is under threat. And I think that requires a serious look, because why should a commissioner be under threat for merely conducting commission business in the open? Everything she's done has been in the open. None of this has been behind closed doors. It's been completely out in the open. She's been the model definition of transparency. And yet, Mr. Johnson was also named in the Police Protective League letter as being a bad commissioner and engaging in bad behavior, and he's not here either. So again, the problem is you are subverting the charter by allowing these threats, and I believe they are terrorist threats, being labeled at the 2 African American commissioners. I would recommend that this also be tabled until the lady and the gentleman are present.
Wow.
583, Wayne Spindler.
And then finally, we have the animal. The officer involved shooting with an animal.
We got it, General.
How does an animal shoot somebody? I mean, so what happened here? I mean, somebody got shot, there's no involved party, you agreed to start listing the involved party on the agenda, so we must not have an involved party. But we have an OIS. So did the OIS victim, was the victim an animal? So you're saying a police officer shot an animal?
Right,
That's what you're saying?
right.
How the hell do you shoot an animal? A dog in a backyard? Behind a fence? How does this happen? Why would somebody use a deadly weapon against Fido? Why would you do that? Why would, you have canines, you could call a canine unit and open the door, and then your dog could beat the other dog, and they could communicate with one another to a standoff. You don't have to shoot a dog just because you're scared of a dog. I'm assuming it's not a cat, it's gotta be a dog, right? Unless it's a horse, or is this a water buffalo? I don't understand this. So, what animal was involved? Animal singular, what animal was involved? So again, I believe Cynthia McLean-Hill is an animal activist, as I understand it. And she's not here today. She is under threat by your Police Protective League in that email. Matt Johnson is not here. He is also under threat. And also, another thing they do, these people, which is Mr. Rose of Englander Kanabi Allen, who is also affiliated with your police unit, he likes to go and file bar complaints and try to get people's licenses lifted. See, so Matt Johnson's under threat too. Stop threatening Matt Johnson and Cynthia McLean-Hill, and please postpone these items until they're here.
On 583.
We got it? Wow. See what you mean, Dave.
I don't have a tally on the number of officers that all shows with animals, but it seems to me, in my recollection, been quite a few. And as pointed out, we'd like to know the circumstances that prompt these kinds of shootings on the part of officers. But more importantly, on these closed session items, in italics at the bottom of the agenda, the board shall reconvene in open session to announce its decision. Well, it's not its decision, it's their decision.
Right.
Because the Brown Act indicates that each commissioner is supposed to announce how they voted individually on each item. You never do that. You don't. But that's what the Brown Act requires you to do. Simple reading, simple understanding, but we get an understanding how you vote on these particular things when you take it into closed session, and only then. More importantly, just one other little thing is that I would not have seen this until I came in here, because the agenda is posted in an inconspicuous manner outside. On the clipboard it says, do not remove. So you can't pick it up and read through it because the clipboard says, do not remove. And it's not conspicuous. And more importantly, every police station is supposed to have complaint forms in various languages, and never have them in English. Never, ever. Caruso went crazy. He kept trying to make them put those things in the lobbies of police stations, and they never do it. So would you please put some English language complaint forms in the lobbies? Thank you.
There are no other comment cards. The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item number 5A1, 2, and 3 in accordance with Government Code 549.
It's all put together, dude. Wow.